body is of 5 elements, pancha pranas, prana, udana, apana, vyana and samana. So in Sanskrit, prana is always considered as plural word, pranaha. It won't be pranaha. So pranaha, we are having all those 5 types of pranas and we run behind food. This food, what gives us varana, the complexion, prasada, the satisfaction, swasvara, good voice, what not, jivita, pratibha, intelligence, everything, tushti and pushti, the good health, everything we get by food. So we have to take care of food in whatever way possible. Okay? Now, see, each and every word is classified, defined in Sanskrit. So, of course, all the Ayurvedic texts are in Sanskrit, that's why I am repeatedly saying Sanskrit. But if you will see, the classification of food is also done. It is divided into 4, that is Pana, Ashana, Bhaksha and Leya. Pana, that is drinkable. It includes water also. Around 35 types of waters are mentioned in Sanskrit. So, what type of water is good for health is mentioned. So, Pana includes, along with water, everything, whatever is liquid. Then comes the Ashana, Ashana that which we eat, like rice, dal and all that. What is the difference between Ashana and Bhaksha is important. For Bhaksha, we need to put more efforts to it. So whatever hard food we eat, especially in Maharashtra, we make chapati and we make bhakri. Bhakri is a bit hard than chapati. So chapati can go in Ashana and bhakri can go in Bhaksha and Leya, that is lickable, achar. Is it chakte? So that is called as Leya. All this food is mentioned.
So that was the broad classification of food according to as per Ayurveda. And also in detail, Acharya Charaka has explained about the various groups of food articles. There are groups, separate groups for cereals known as sugar dhanya. There is a separate group of different types of pulses under the group Shami dhanya. Also various types of meats in Mamsa Varga, various types of vegetables in Shaka Varga, and various types of fruits along with their qualities. Each and every fruit are mentioned in the Charaka Samhita along with their qualities. In Phala Vargas, green leafy vegetables, Harita Vargas, there are various types of wines in Madhya Vargas. Also the types of water along with the quality in Jala Vargas, milk and its products in Gorasa Vargas, sugarcane and its products in Ikshuvikara Vargas. Also there are groups of prepared food such as rice, dal as I mentioned, in Kritana Vargas. And most importantly, which we commonly called as masalas. The properties of masalas which we use in kitchen are specially mentioned in the Ahara Yogya Dravyas as spices and condiments that we add in the foods as adjuvants. Okay, so now we enter into the main topic, what to eat. So these are the 8 dietary guidelines mentioned in the Ayurveda, how we should choose an appropriate food. First is based on its Prakriti. Prakriti means, the literal translation of that word is nature. Nature of what? Nature of food. Also, Prakriti of your own body. So it is very important to identify the quality of that particular food. For example, moong dal. Moong dal is easily digestible as compared to black gram, which is urad ki dal. That is a bit heavy for digestion. So identifying the quality of that particular food is very important. Next is processing of the food, that is karana. Karana is sanskara. Sanskara means how you process the food. With the help of agni, that is fire, or even water. And the fire, there are various process of processing the food. Either you boil it, or you heat it, or you roast it, or you cook it. It is very important to understand what to do with what type of food. For example, in Ayurveda it is mentioned that heating honey is really fatal. It turns, heating honey is poisonous. So some people have a habit of drinking hot lemon with honey. So that is really wrong practices. I will quote here. That is against the current, which is the second dietary guidelines. Third is combination of food, that is samyoga. It's very important to combine the, especially for the females who cook in the kitchen. It's really important to know what food should be combined with what type of food. For example, again, the restaurant practices I want to quote again here, the milkshakes. Everyone has heard of milkshakes, right? The milk is combined with the citrus fruits. That is really fatal combination.
Because milk and fruits, they don't go together. So, of course, there is one option that immediately if you will make a milkshake and you will enjoy it, then it is okay. But if you will make it, you will keep it in fridge and then you will enjoy it. No, it is not allowed. Try to avoid these milkshakes if possible.
Next is rashi, means the quantity of food. You should know how much food to consume. If you consume less food, you might end up in malnutrition. If you consume excess food, you might end up in obesity. So, knowing in Ayurveda, there is a beautiful quotation, ahara agni bala apekshita, which means you should think the digestion power of yourself, and accordingly you should consume the food. Next is habitat, desha. Habitat means the environment where that particular food is grown. It's very important. The nature has given us that beauty. Wherever you live, the food is provided in and around you. You need not to import the food from other countries. One example I want to quote here, everyone has heard of olive oil, which is not a part of the Indian continent. It is imported from Arabian countries, right? So the trend of cooking food in olive oil is not as per the desha.
So because Mother Nature is there to take care of us. So where we live, Mother Nature, whatever vegetation is there, it makes for us. So I think this we have to keep in mind.
The sixth important guidelines is kala, means time. The timing of food is also important. Timing here means based on the day and also based on the seasons. So there are rules regarding what time you should eat and what time you should not eat, and how you should change your dietary patterns as per seasons as well. So one example, now we are in winter season, right? If you consume more of cold food, that ends up in the weakening of your digestion power. Agni, which we say in Ayurvedic language, Jatharagni, which is present in your stomach. So that has the capacity to digest your food. If you consume more of a cold food, that will weaken the digestion capacity. And seventh important point is you should know the rules of food intake. There are separate rules I will explain in the next slide how you should consume the food. There are almost 10 guidelines to consume the food. And last but not the least, which is very important, Upayukta, the consumer, yourself, you yourself, should analyze yourself properly, how you should, what food is important for you, what food is hitkara for you, wholesome for you, favorable for you, beneficial for you, and what food are not. So that knowledge is also important. So these 8 important guidelines are very necessary to be understood regarding choosing an appropriate food. So how much to eat? Before you proceed to eat, you should know how much to eat. So this is a very beautiful concept explained in Ayurveda. Divide your stomach into 3 parts. 1/3 should be left for solid food, 1/3 should be for liquid, and the other 1/3 should be left blank, empty, for the movement of doshas to be act upon that ingested food for the proper digestion, for proper metabolism. So remember this basic thumb rule whenever you go to eat. So as I mentioned earlier, these are the dining rules which you should follow whenever you are on your dining table. So go through every point. First is you should consume food hot. Hot means why hot? Because first benefit is it tastes well when you eat hot, and it is very light for digestion. people have habit of cooking in the morning and the same food we eat for the lunch, the same food we eat for the dinner, maybe the next morning, because of the time constraint and work schedule. Consuming hot food is very important. Second, consuming food that has oiliness. Why oiliness? Imagine you are just eating chapati which is dry. Can you swallow it? Or example, bread. Can you swallow it without help of any liquid milk or tea or something? So there should be a little bit of oiliness in your food. That will help to swallow your food. Not only just for swallowing, the oiliness is very important. That will help for the digestion of the food. Third is consuming the food in proper quantity. Matra Ahara is really important, which is time quoted by the acharyas. Quantity of the food is very important because it might hamper the digestion capacity of your body. Eating less is also not advisable. Eating too much is also not advisable. Consuming food after the digestion of the previously consumed food. This is also one of the important points which you need to understand. Why? Because when you consume, suppose you consume a food and it takes almost 3 to 4 hours for the proper digestion of the food. You should only consume the food next meal when you think that the previously ingested food is properly digested. Otherwise, it leads to indigestion and various kinds of gastrointestinal problems. Also, you should not consume food too fast, in hurry, too slow. While you should not consume the food while speaking, while laughing, and also. Last but not the least, the same point, you should know what to eat. You should know your prakriti, deha prakriti, what is beneficial for you. For example, there is a concept of pitta prakriti. You might know some people are really hot in nature. They really don't like any hot objects. So for those kind of people, I'm just quoting an example. For those kind of people, if they end up eating too much of spicy, eating too much of hot food, warm food, that will create an adverse effect in their body. So, by due consideration of oneself means knowing your prakriti. This is another important and unique concept explained in Ayurveda. This is a concept of Viruddha Ahara. It says